Alright, next episode here in Canada. And the last race was quite the spectacle.
I've had a chat with the R&D team about the new parts, and we're happy that they've been integrated into the car okay. With any luck, you'll be able to feel the improvement, so go and give them a try.
We had some wear and tear parts come in. We had some I'm spacing on the name of it. But yeah, last week, or the last episode in Imola, no idea what was going on with the race strategy, and in the mid-race, it's just like the whole thing was messed up, and people were going on 5-6 pit stops for the 22 lap race, and we managed to score some points along with our teammate, as well as there's only a handful of people that still haven't scored any points so far this season. But I'm hoping with this overcast weather, we're not getting any rain this weekend. Sergeant heads out onto the track after scoring some points, his debut points for his career. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and knock out practice, and we'll see you guys for qualifying. Alright, so here we are back on North American soil here in Canada. Our time frames with the hards, medium, soft felt a lot better on those hards than first practice, but those mediums and softs seem to be more of a real time. As we're currently P8, not setting a time yet, as we cross the line for a 1:13.2 on these softs. We're going to be very close to what these softs can do. Currently sitting back in P13, right behind our teammate Mick Schumacher for our final run of Q1. At a half-second lead, about just under 0.6, 5.54, I believe it was, if not better. That's good for provisional P7 into Q2. Mick Schumacher also makes it into Q2. And yeah, so it's currently sitting P10 as we haven't set a time yet for Sargent with a 1:13.5, so he's doing pretty good on the softs here in Canada. As we cross the line, and it's a 1:32 flat, or a 1:13.2 flat. And then our second run, or final run for qualifying 2, we're about around the same area, about 5/10 up. And then good for provisional P10, which I thought I could have gotten a lot more time out of that. That's just telling you how close the grid is to each other. So we're yet to set any times yet in Q3, 8:20 to go. And we're hitting our DRS zone here, and we're crossing the line at a 1:12.1. I believe this so far good, the best we've had so far, and not really any improvement except for through the chicane. In our final run of Q3, about 0.2 back, so new improvement there for P5 for the Canadian race.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Russell, Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Alright, so there we are, a P5, provisional P5 start for the Canadian Grand Prix. As, yeah, a lot of people really close. 1/10 between Charles Leclerc and George Russell. We're only just over half a second behind the leader for best lap, the fastest lap. And I was surprised I put the time that I did for that first run here in Q3. And we weren't able to find any improvement. But yeah, 1:12.1 for qualifying here for the Canadian Grand Prix after last week, after the last episode's mishap with the race strategies. And this time around, all the drivers did participate in third practice, and we'll have to wait and see here for a second, or in a second, to see if our race strategies will work properly. So we'll see you there.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to the variant of this track back in 1978, and it was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles per hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially the infamous Wall of Champions, and watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and that final chicane. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Verstappen, Johnson, Gasly, Hamilton, Norris, Perez, Tsunoda, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Mick Schumacher, Sargent, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Joe, Jackson, Ocon, and Calimea. And now it's time to head down to the track. And with me today, of course, is Natalie Pinkham. Let's talk about Johnson. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within the team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do. And that has definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
And we are contributing as best as we can. Let's see if our race strategy is fixed compared to the last episode. And yes, it is. I'm very glad. Let's go in and personalize and make sure that we can back out. Yes, it is working compared to last time. So let's get right to the race.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out. So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. The question I'm asking is which teams have got it right, which ones have got it horribly wrong?
Right, so there you have our formation strategies, or race strategies, not formation. Formation lap there on the top of the screen as we're running our mediums to about lap 12, lap 13, and then running to the hards. I'm not really feeling the softs, because we don't feel like they're going to be really a good use to us here in Canada. The two Connersport cars, and no improvement on the position as we're starting in P5. Two Ferraris running pretty good. Our 5 red lights are off. RedBull off to a good start. A little bit of a wheel spin there from him, Max Verstappen. Well, we have the faster tires, and I thought about going on the inside there, but you can see that I backed off and then slotted in behind Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. The two Ferraris running both mediums, and George Russell, the Mercedes out there. Perez making up a position against Tsunoda, Bottas, and Norris fighting for a position. Sargent back in P12, Schumacher back in P14. So yeah, we're slotting in pretty good so far. Had some good run here in Canada. I did enjoy it in the last year's game. But yeah, so we're about 8/10 back behind the Ferraris, but that is no problem for us. And I knew right there, then and there, we could have taken that corner a lot better. We're coming up to the hard right-hander. And you can see Gasly back there in P6. He's been really fighting us like he's still our rival compared to last year. And I practically take him as a rival. Yeah, fight's really good if Magnussen takes up a position back against Jackson. And yeah, pretty good spacing. Russell, Leclerc, Sainz, pretty good tow for them to take the lead. They're already over a second away from the rest of the pack as we're moving on to lap number 2. And Verstappen about half a second back behind us. You can see there's ghosting still. Last time we had ghosting like this was with Miami there in the first 3 corners. So I don't know if that's a game thing or not. But moving on to lap 4, the next piece of action. Leclerc, you can see he's already 5 seconds ahead as Gasly is up in our gearbox trying to make a move with DRS, and he makes that move on the inside. And we hit the grass, kind of give it to him. And then as we're coming around here, we have a little tap from Verstappen, and I wasn't sure. And I see the blinking green light, so he must have spun out. You can see him dropping back to P19. At this point, Ocon had a DNF for an engine failure. You could see on board with Max Verstappen there's a lighting glitch or whatever. I think it was a driver issue, as we see Max Verstappen spin. From what I've seen, it looks like he cut the corner. And as we were trying to go wide for the corner, he came in contact with us, causing him to lose out on his points position. Next piece of action, we have Hamilton close behind here on lap 6. Gasly managed to get ahead of us after that incident with Max Verstappen. We get up in the gearbox of Gasly, trying to stay as far ahead as possible from Hamilton, as we're looking to retake P4. As the toe is really strong, and having DRS as well, coming to the timing line, even barely, just timing line way closer to Gasly than I expected us to be. As yeah, we retake that position up to P4 to start lap 7. You can see Hamilton side by side with Gasly here, coming through the first few corners. As Hamilton seems to be doing a little bit better than I'd noticed. I have to look back and see how he's been doing. Lap 8, Gasly looking to make another move on the inside, or on the outside of the straight, and then on the inside of turn 1. And then you can see Hamilton looking to try to make a move there, as we're still running strong on these medium tires. There's a little bit of a slip up there, but that's about the worst that we felt these tires so far in this race. Lap 10, you can see Hamilton still about 6/10 back, as we're still trying to keep up with Gasly. We're going back and forth basically the entirety of this first 10 laps of the racer, so a little bit of scrape there on his back end on our front wing, as once again we have that toe and we have that DRS, and he doesn't have that DRS, which gives us the opportunity, but he has another opportunity here on the main straight. And I've gotten closer to the wall of champions, I believe, in qualifying than so far in the race. You can see Gasly there 1/10 back, and he's trying to make a move again. And Hamilton, Perez up in the P7, Bottas, Tsunoda, Norris behind us. Russell, Sainz, Leclerc. Now, you can see 11 seconds back for 11 laps in. The end of lap 11, Gasly looking to make another move. I hold onto this left side this time, see if that's a better route to go through these first four few corners. This is our teammate Schumacher back into P18. I believe that's his pit stop that he's making. As Max Verstappen back up into P15. Only a couple of positions improvements. Some of them may have been pit stops, but Gasly and myself have been fighting for the entirety of this race so far. I believe we're both on mediums, as Hamilton's trying to get into the mix as well, and Perez is still trying to fight for that strong lead. The end of lap 12 now. You can see how close the Mercedes is as he goes in. Gasly staying out with our toe, and then Perez closing in as well. Hamilton coming in for that pit stop on lap 12 onto lap 13. McLaren's not doing so well. They've been doing here and there. Norris, Piastri back in P11. As the two Ferraris are just way up there. They've been doing exquisite here in Canada. As that slip up is going to allow Gasly to catch up. So we're moving on to the end of lap 13, and you can see the gap now about 7/10. We had to fend him off, and he made a strong move, but yeah, so Gasly actually coming in behind us, giving George Russell, and I believe Perez as well. Now Perez comes in behind us, but is the McLaren of Oscar Piastri. And you can see we have a little bit of an issue there on the front left, which allows Gasly to jump us in the pits. So we're going to be caught between Gasly and Perez. But as we're coming out pretty close to his gearbox. As you're coming out, you can see the Aston, nope, that's the Connor Sport of Aiden Jackson. They're behind us as Schumacher is fighting for Sargent. Schumacher has been fighting Sargent for a few laps now before the start of the pit stops. So we're back in P13 behind our teammate Mick Schumacher. We have a little bit of ground to catch up to them and try to make up some positions, as I believe he had already made his pit stop a few laps ago. Now on the end of lap 14, we can see no position change between myself and Gasly, but we can see the position changes of all of the other drivers who are coming in. Now myself, Gasly, Jackson, Perez, all in a tow train. You can see Gasly fighting for that position on the inside, now outside. A little bit of contact. I believe it was from Jackson. I not quite remember at the time, but you can see Jackson making up a position against Gasly as well, because he was on the racing line compared to Gasly. And we're back up in the P8 and P9 now for Aston Martin. Schumacher about 2 seconds ahead. Lap 15 now. Jackson trying to make a move. You can see him in the mirror. And we cover him off. He has to get back onto the racing line. And we hold him off for now. He's 2 tenths back. And Hulkenberg and Tsunoda in for late pit stops. I believe they were on hards. As Perez makes a position up against Jackson. Gasly still trying to make that up. As myself and Schumacher are now P6 and P7. As coming down to the end of lap 16, Perez 3 tenths back, trying to make up some pace. As we get a lot closer to the wall champions. A little scrape there, nothing too bad, no serious damage. As our back end went out, allowing Perez to take that position from us. And at this point of the race, 17 out of 25 laps, we're going to use Perez's mediums, try to catch up to Sargent and Schumacher for a good chance at points. Lap 19, we're behind Sargent now at this point. And yeah, quick dive to the inside. Perez had made easy work of Sargent. As we do the same later on here in lap 19, we're still within the DRS range. Now next lap on lap 20, we're finally able to catch up to our teammate Schumacher with a break late. We thought about making a move. You can see that we lost a lot of time from that move. I kind of evasive move there as we had to make a move. So another shot at Perez. And Schumacher later to come. I just know that we have to try and do what we can as we're behind our teammate Schumacher. So Perez up in the P5, Hamilton up in the P4. I don't remember where, I think Leclerc and Sainz went in for a double stop. I don't quite remember. But lap 22 now is when we try to make a move on our teammate Schumacher. And I realized at this point, after passing him, Sargent is catching up to us. Schumacher is on the mediums and I'm on the hards. There's no point in me running these hards ahead of our faster teammate on those mediums. So you can see here on this double right-hander, we go wide, let him through. Schumacher we help Schumacher in the championship practically, and let him finish in P7 and myself in let him finish in P6, myself in P7 for the end of this race. And we're going to be able to hold on to these positions for the final lap, as Gasly not quite enough time or pace to have him catch up to us.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
A truly magnificent drive and a great performance from the entire team to secure victory here in Canada. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, they managed their tyres to absolute perfection. A tyre whisperer, in fact. And that is what set them apart.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. George Russell takes the lead in the Drivers' Championship after today's superb result. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
There are a few contenders, but George Russell definitely stood out, I think. A really solid drive from him today, and one I'm sure the fans enjoyed.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One, so be sure to join us for the next one.
All right, so another eventful race there. The mistake that we had with Max towards the beginning. He managed to get back up to P12 after that incident at the start of the race. And then what a fight we had with Sergio Perez and Mick Schumacher there after our pit stop. And Logan Sargent as well. He got up into the points. So he's up into the points again. And I'm pretty sure Logan Sargent, Mick Schumacher, they're doing a lot better these last few races. That's why they're doing so well. Because Aiden Jackson back up there in P11 as well. Where Callie Mayer up to P14. So looks like they're getting the hang of it. As we'll have to wait and see what they can do later on in the season. As we managed to let Mick Schumacher ahead there towards the end. He had the faster tires and I was getting nowhere. Except Sergio Perez, he was only getting farther and farther away from us, so I figured might as well let Schumacher get those points to help him in the standings, and it does help him in the standings. He jumps from 13th to 10th, so he's within the top 10 for our driver standings. So a really great teammate play right there. As yeah, we're still sitting behind McLaren in the constructor standings. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode. So we'll see you guys in the next one.